changes everything, doesn't it? Now, how sad is this? For 50 years, this man has been handing his wife the heel of the loaf. He wanted the heel of the loaf. He likes the heel of the loaf. From his perspective, he's thinking, who wouldn't want the heel of the loaf? I love the heel. And yet, this is agape love. Agape love, he has been sacrificing, lovingly giving it to his angel. His angel. She's not a heel woman. She's been looking at this for 50 years, and for 50 years, this has been consistently communicating disrespect. So as he lovingly serves the heel, she's over here thinking, you selfish jerk. For 50 years. Now, the moral of the story is that we tend to love others the way we want to be loved. We tend to love others the way we want to be loved. You might have a strong need for affection. If you do, how are you going to tend to love your spouse? You're going to be affectionate. Who wouldn't want affection? You want affection. You'll give them affection. Why don't they give you affection? And so you give them affection. But guess what? Affection may not even be in their top 5. It might not even be on the list for them. So for you, what is an expression of love to them might just be an irritation. Do we have to always hold hands? Yes, yes, I love you too. Why do we have to be so mushy about it, especially in front of other people? I mean, and it can be a very hurtful thing. Well, why do they not want to do that? If they really loved me, they would want to do that. I really love them, and I want to be affectionate. But it's not on their list. Of course, if they're going to make you feel loved, guess what they have to choose to do? Be affectionate. See how this works? It's not enough to love your spouse the way you want to be loved. You must love your spouse the way they need to be loved, or they won't feel loved. Doesn't matter how sincere you are, how consistent you are in loving them in the ways you want to be loved. They're not going to feel it. They're not going to feel loved because they're a different person. They have a different list of emotional needs. So you need to pay attention to the differences on your lists. That's a very telling thing. Now also, as you go down your lists, very important, you need to define for each other what each need means to you. Because you may have the same need. You know, both of you. Number 3, you've got recreational companionship. Hey, we both got recreational companionship. Well, at least we got that going for us. But here's the problem. That doesn't mean the same thing to everybody. For example, recreational companionship to him might mean hunting, fishing, camping, watching sports. Who wouldn't want to do that? For her, recreational companionship might mean shopping for hours and hours. It might mean watching romantic movies or going out to dinner or seeing concerts or plays. Well, they both have a need for recreational companionship, but they don't experience that the same way, and they need to know that. They need to know that, so you need to talk about it. You may both have a need for affection, but what communicates affection to you might not be what communicates affection to your spouse. For some people, affection is all about physical expression, holding hands, kiss on the cheek, a hug. But for other people, affection has to do with things involving time. Did you take time out of your day? Was I important enough to you for you to take the time to actually write me a note, a love letter, write a card, to actually go out and get flowers? Something that showed that you didn't just do this off the spur of the moment. This cost you something. It cost you time, and I meant that much to you, and I feel loved. Well, not everybody's wired that way. But you see what I mean? You've got to define these things. What does this mean to you? You must take your spouse's emotional needs seriously. The health of your marriage depends on it. So let me put it this way. If you aren't willing to meet your spouse's emotional needs, someone else will be. Have you ever gone grocery shopping just before dinner? What happens? I'm going down the aisle thinking, man, that looks good. That looks great. I'll take some of that, and oh, yeah, we need this. We need at least 3 boxes of that. This stuff, I don't even know what it is, but I'm going to try it. Man, you get way too much because you're hungry. You're vulnerable. You know, all this advertising power is aimed at you, and it works because you're hungry. Well, have you ever gone grocery shopping right after you finished eating? What happens then? I don't know about you, but I'm the world's toughest customer. I'm going through there, I'm like, I don't need that. I can get by without that. Bread, milk, who needs that? That's for wimps. I can make it. You don't get enough, because you're not hungry. There's no desire. It doesn't matter what kind of advertising power is thrown your way. It's not going to work because you're not hungry. Here's the point. Don't send your spouse out into the world hungry. If you refuse to meet your spouse's emotional needs, you're leaving them in a vulnerable condition, and that will make it easier for Satan to attack them. And you better believe he will, because Satan hates marriages, especially Christian marriages, in case you didn't notice, in case you hadn't noticed the divorce rate. Satan will do anything he can to bring down a Christian marriage, folks. So you've got to pay attention to this. Don't leave your spouse vulnerable. Don't send them into the world hungry. Now, at this point, it is incredibly important that I clarify something. I even put it on the note sheet for you. These do not give you the right to be unfaithful to your spouse. Whether you're unfaithful relationally through an affair or visually through pornography. Unmet needs do not give you the right to be unfaithful to your spouse. Folks, I've talked with a lot of couples over the years. And when you hear of how one spouse has neglected the other and an affair has happened, I must admit that affairs are sometimes understandable. Now, you listen very carefully to me. I don't want anybody misquoting me after you leave. Affairs are sometimes understandable. However, affairs are never justifiable. Affairs are never right. Adultery is sin. It's in the 10 Commandments. Thou shalt not commit adultery, the 7th commandment. Adultery will destroy your life and ultimately cause tremendous pain to those around you. Don't do it. If you're ever tempted, think of Tiger Woods. And folks, I'm not laughing at Tiger. I feel sorry for him. I hurt for him. I hurt for his family. Look at the pain that's happened there. Don't do it. Unmet needs never give you the right to be unfaithful to your spouse. Listen, if you're feeling really attracted and drawn to someone other than your spouse, and that happens more often than most people admit. If you're feeling, I'm not talking about attraction like, wow, they look really nice. I'm talking about you feel drawn to them. Wow, I feel so much more alive when I'm around this person than I am with my spouse. Please understand this. If that's you, if you're experiencing that, it is not because you married the wrong person. That's not why this is happening. It's not because it was just really in the stars. You were supposed to be with this person, but instead you married this one. I missed out on my fate. I missed out on what was meant to be. No, it's not. It's really a lot more sensible and down to earth than that. What's happening is this person is at this point doing a better job of meeting your emotional needs than your spouse is. That's it. Remember those accounts? Remember how we talked about the accounts raise up? And if someone's account gets high enough in your heart, it's going to translate into romantic feeling. That's what's happened. You have certain needs that weren't being met by your spouse, but boy, this person was meeting them. Did you know that most affairs, not all, but most of the time, adultery begins very innocently. It begins with friends. Friends